Okay, here we are live. So thank you so much for being here, Rok Gulic, and for being on another episode of Mixed Talks. So let's start with your past career, your music journey. You started facing challenges in mixing tracks. You discovered that certain headphones lacked the right low-end perception. When did you understand that industry needs something like a flat headphones response, and when it became an all audio product?
Thank you for having me in the show.
No worries.
It's really simple. So what happened is that as a drummer, I was obviously mixing as well for my band, a hobby band, nothing professional. And at the time when I was mixing, I had like a small studio, nothing fancy, but it worked. But then I got married and I got kids, and it became a problem. So I had to start mixing using headphones alone. This transition from speakers to headphone is not like really easy. Especially when you don't have truly flat and balanced headphones. And back in the days, the selection was quite scarce. There were not many that would even consider having a professional audio product specifically tuned for mixing. It was quite difficult to find, especially at reasonable pricing.
Yeah.
So I embarked on this journey. I said, listen, I am an engineer. I can probably make something myself. It's just a speaker in a chassis, etc. So, of course, that was foolish of me. But it prompted the research and, first prototypes, etc. And somehow I struck a really good balance. My friends and colleagues asked if I can make a headphone for them as well.
Wow.
And that's how basically the company started. At some point, I left my previous job and started working on Ola every day for 2 years, basically, without getting paid. So it was quite intense. But after 2 years, the first product was released. That was the S3 series. And that then moved on into S4 and then S4X and now S5X and so on. But yeah, it was a very natural thing to happen. I had a problem, such as you have it and many others do.
Definitely.
I solved it in my own way, and there's other people that enjoyed my way of working and solving that problem, and that basically gave birth to All Audio.
Well, that's very nice to hear. So talking about your current models, you said the S5X, S4X, and S4AR, right? And did you design each one individually, or did you develop them in collaboration with your colleagues or with other people?
No, of course, it's a team. It's not.
Okay.
These things are not made by myself.
Of course.
It's not that easy. So yeah, sure, the first models were basically mine. But now it's a team of people that work tirelessly on development and so on. So it's not just internal development that gets involved here, which is important to understand. So all of these products were developed together with our community, with ambassadors, endorsers, and customers as well. So their feedback was very carefully analyzed and then implemented to the extent that is possible. Sometimes engineers don't really understand. And on one side, there's these technical limitations, but as a company, you need to survive on the marketplace. Right, so yeah, technically you can do a lot of stuff, but if that does not work on a marketplace or doesn't make business sense,
any sense,
then you can't really implement it. So yeah, will you pay like 6,000 euros for this headphone? Probably not. So it makes no sense to implement a technology that costs as much, even though it is superior. So there's this kind of value ratio price going on with every single of these models.
In this moment, I think Dolby Atmos support is where a part of the tension is. You came up with the S5X, right? Some people don't agree with Dolby Atmos support, but like I said, you developed the S5X model. What do you think about Dolby Atmos support from now to the next 5 years?
Well, I think Dolby is one of the main players, but it's not the only one. And it's important to understand that the industry is moving that way. That was heavily charted by Dolby Atmos, even in the past. But it's not the only one. So Sony 360 Reality is there, and it's just as strong as, if not stronger. So it's the question of distribution of these files, which was addressed very successfully in Spotify and Tidal and so on. So the next step, I think, is something that IES should do, so the Engineering Society of Audio, and come up with a standard where we can say, all right, so that's the MP3, or that's the WAV, or that's the IES, whatever container for the object-based audio that can easily be transferred and played back on any device. Because as long as we have to have specific codecs and devices, like, some will play Dolby Atmos but will not play Sony 360, until that division is in place, the vast majority will be reluctant to jump on board. So these distribution limits should go away, and once they are away, it's an open playing field, and whoever's the best is going to win.
Okay, that's really cool. In fact, talking about the other model, the S4X, which I'm pretty happy with that, because one of my mixing teacher introduced me to this model. How did you make the measurements to create something like the S4X?
So the S4X are slightly differently tuned in comparison to the S5X, and also the philosophy behind and the approach to developing it was different. So the S4X were mainly developed to transfer stereo mixes from headphones to a traditional room. So what most of creators and multimedia guys have at home, right? Like 2 speakers, a little bit of acoustic treatment, but not too much, nothing too crazy. Those kind of rooms tend to be kind of tilted in sound. So have a lot more low-end presence and low-mids presence, and less mids, the high mids, and then absolutely less high-end. So in order to have this translation between headphones and rooms like that, the headphones should have the similar kind of tilted response. So we aimed for that. That would be the scientific part. And the second part would be just human testing, A/B testing, split testing of different variations, and gathering the feedback again from current customers, ambassadors, engineers in the audio industry, and learning from them and implementing those feedbacks on the scientific data as weights. So if many people say, hey, like, for example, if 8 out of 10 would say, I need more bass, then we would take the scientific data, the measurements and whatever we did, and just weighted the importance of the presence of the low bass, more in comparison to other things. So that way it's kind of like science on one side, but heavily influenced by users. That was the S4X. The S5X, kind of similar, but very strongly empathizing the importance of measuring a certified studio. So what we did is we went to a Dolby-certified studio, a really good one actually in Vienna, and captured all the speakers there to get the response at the eardrum in that studio. And then we replaced the studio with a headphone on the same device, and we remeasured it. So if the response in a studio would be like, like a flat line, then we want to achieve that same flat line on that same ear simulator device when the headphone is on. And that's what we did, and that's 90% of the sound that you have with the S5X.
Wow, it's pretty insane indeed, the work between S5X and also S4X. So speaking about the S4 AR model for recording and podcasting, okay? And when did you come up with the idea of making also this new model?
So the S4R, the recording version, was actually brought up as a custom order by Chris Brown, not the musician, but the engineer, Chris Brown from London. So he's been working with Robbie Williams and, Beat the Beatles, etc. Older dude, but still kicking. And he asked if we can make his version of the S4 into something that's closed. And we said, okay, let's give it a try. We made one, we sent it over to him, he loved it, and we made a few more, sent it over to other engineers, they loved it, and there you go, we have another product, a closed version of the product. It's different, it doesn't sound the same, the acoustics are different, but also the purpose is different. So why they are labeled as recording is first for isolation purposes, but also the tuning is different. They are very, very mid-forwardly tuned, which means that your vocals are very upfront, so you can hear every little detail when you're recording or if you're a podcaster, etc. So for that purpose, those are like really, really good, but not so good for mixing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you come up with each headphones for the context here. So I know also that you are going further and trying to explore new immersive audio, not just a stereo mix, but also VR technologies. Can you go in deep about this?
In terms of VR, we are not actively pursuing it.
Okay. And discussing the measurement of headphones and Holo Audio, on your website I saw a mention of UC plugin that Holo Audio team developed. Could you explain what this plugin does?
Yeah, of course. So obviously all our headphones are tuned in a specific way. And if you're not familiar with all this stuff, then we can just simply say they are flat sounding, balanced, neutral for professional use. That's it. But if you want to go, another level, another step closer to perfection, then you need to understand that every single piece of material, either ear pads, either the membrane on the speaker, the magnet, the coil, etc., everything will have a little bit of tolerances. Right? They are not all 100% exactly the same. So that creates deviation in their frequency response. So we cannot fully say every single unit is 100% the same, because it's not just ours, any headphones on the planet, to be clear. What we did is we said, okay, we have some very carefully tuned headphone, but if we have these little tolerances from production, which is normal again, we would like to fix that on a unit-by-unit basis. So every unit is measured, checked, and corrected with this plugin. And that's something that no one else does. Wow. Not even Odyssey, not even Steven Slate, with the exception of SonarWorks. If you send your unit to them, they will do that for you for about 170 euros, I think.
Wow, it's pretty insane. Also, this USC plugin. And talking about the collaboration deal with Waves, with NXC Head, with your, of course, Holo Audio products. Can you say something about this partnership with Waves? This can enhance a lot your Holo Audio products.
So the NX plugins are actually really, really good. And they are basically extending your monitoring options. So the way we see it is that headphones are great, but sometimes it's great to have a simple and fast and efficient way to check your mixes in different situations. So instead of running out into your car, instead of running to your neighbor to check something, you can check that using software. Obviously, we are not the only one offering that. There's multiple solutions on this front, but we tried to bundle something together that makes sense and that really works together. So we verified and do numerous testing that the Waves NX works really well with our tuning and with our plugin. So it's kind of like an assurance from our side that if you're running our headphones and the NX, you are in a good place.
Okay, that's pretty cool indeed. And how do you imagine the audio industry in the next 10 years across the implementation of AI technology? And is something that you want, or you have already thought to implement it with your products?
We don't implement any of that directly into the product. We are not a software company, at least not for the moment, and I don't really think we will be. I think there are other companies doing that really well, and it makes sense to just, strike partnerships rather than start something on your own. So that says a lot. So AI by itself, integrated in our products by us, that's probably not going to happen in the next 5 years unless the landscape really massively changes. But for sure, it's a tool that is changing how audio is made, mixed, used, remixed, etc. And it's influencing our lives going forward. It's not going to go away for sure. So we will need to adapt.
Okay. And I know that also all audio products are fit from major big artists like Adele, Ed Sheeran, Sting, Beyonce, and many others. How does it feel to make, something unique and see it approved?
It's a scary feeling. It's really scary. So you're always wondering, is it good enough? That's the basic question that any creator. I am a creator, basically. I'm just making headphones. You're making music. Yeah. It's the same thing. We're all creators. And when you create something, you're always wondering, is it good enough? Will it stand the test of time? Yeah. Etc. So when you get like this kind of endorsements, it's really good. It feels great. It's just, a confirmation that you're on the right path, I guess.
Okay, so it's pretty cool. Talking about the next future, do you think you will develop new products, or would you like to keep this simplicity and innovation for the customer?
We will continue to be a smaller player in the game, so there is no ambition to kick ass Sony or Sennheiser or Audio-Technica or anything like that. But as a small niche player, we do want to be the tip of the spear when it comes to mixing headphones. And doing that, I think it's impossible to achieve it, with 10 different products. It's like one product, maybe two. But those are refined every year, maybe every 2 years, with an upgrade and an update, and the train just moves on and improves as we go. And that's the only aim we have. That's my personal aim, to just deliver the best possible headphones to mixing engineers at reasonable cost. Again, I'm returning to the question earlier. Yeah. Obviously, the technology is there to do many crazy stuff, but it does not make business sense. And in that sense, it does not make customer sense in a way to buy it. So, of course, there are limits, but without a doubt, deep of the spear.
Cool. And the material used in your products are sustainable, okay? And can you provide more details about the sustainability aspects of your products?
Well, sustainable is a term that is misused many times. In my opinion, it's, on one side we have the obvious thing, which is the ecological stuff. But on the other side, I think it's the hygienic stuff. And by saying that, I mean the business hygiene stuff. So paying your suppliers on time, paying your employees on time, giving them time, to enjoy holidays. All of these things are important. Taking care of your customers if they have a special situation. For example, there was a terrorist attack a few years ago in Sweden, and one of our endorsers lost their studio, and we're lucky to survive, basically. So, it's a heartbeat. It's nothing to send like 1 or 2 pair of headphones if something like that happens. Yeah. And I think that is what sustainability means in the long term. Sustainable life, sustainable business, sustainable relationships. Does it make sense?
Yes, definitely. And I fully share your vision about sustainability. So everyone talks often about being successful, but not many discuss failures. Did you face setbacks and naysayers on your journey to become a successful entrepreneur?
Many. And so it's now if we are now entering the entrepreneurial debate, it's a very lonely place. but it's also a very rewarding place. So it's kind of like goes hand in hand.
Yes, this light and dark side.
Exactly. So the main issues that, as a business, basically as a startup, that you're going to face would be don't run out of cash, right? So that's super important, and it's not very easy to actually make it. But at the same time, be resilient enough that whatever happens, you can prevail and you can, go on, so you don't really quit easily. That's extremely important. The full team was put to the test numerous times. For example, it's 2 years ago, we had a small fire in production. The production line and part of the laboratory and warehousing all went to nothing in this fire. And we had to somehow bounce out of that. And that's how you strengthen the team, the relationship, and business model on its own. So there are hurdles, and you get all those, and you move on.
Wow, and it's very, very crazy to share these thoughts. I mean, I'm very happy to hear your words, Rok. And I saw that you created a lot of content, on your Olo website. And how important is it for you to make content on social media?
Yeah. Is this a question more like in a business sense or a personal sense?
I don't know. Choose the right response for your side.
Obviously, I'm a heavy consumer of social media, just as anyone is, even though we may not like to admit it, but we do spend a lot on social media, probably more than we spend with many of our loved ones. I am a consumer, but at the same time, I'm also a creator of social posts. Some are strictly business oriented, so getting the word out about products and features and stuff like that. And some are a little bit more motivational oriented, where it comes to, for example, you can find one on the Black Friday sales. We don't do sales, we don't do discounts.
Yeah.
And I've made a little video on that topic, why we don't do discounts and why we think it makes absolutely no fucking sense to make discounts just because it's Black Friday.
Yeah, I fully share that vision.
Yeah. So that's important, not just for us as a company. I think it's important for the industry. And we all, you, me, and all of your listeners are probably heavily reliant on the industry staying healthy. And healthy industry does not run on discounts.
And
end of story.
If you could say something to your past self, what will be the message, and what do you hope for your future self regarding your Olo Audio brand?
I'm going to steal this one because it's very much ingrained into my heart. It's not mine. It's from Matthew McConaughey. I always look at this as, my hero is me 10 years from now. And I think that's a really good, kind of like North Star, I guess. So that's one of the mottos I have in life. The other one would obviously be what you give is what you're going to get, right? So it's always this kind of exchange of energy and relationships and value and so on. Just as you mentioned before, you didn't expect some of these answers, which I can hear from your voice as well. It's important to be authentic, and that means being honest, being truthful, being open. I think that's the future of Europe in general. Maybe not so much the West, but Europe in general is moving in that direction, I hope. And I want to be a part of that movement rather than the other movement, which is full of superlatives and everybody's the best and everybody's number one, and at the end everybody's sad. I don't want to be there.
I think we have it. So Rok, thank you so much for sharing with us this amazing journey for your Olo Audio brand, your products, and hope to see you next time here on Mixed Talks.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll come and visit Rome.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Mixed Talks. Find your groove in the mix.